Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Marissa and I'm going to be reviewing the Maison de Sabré soft bucket tote today. This is the soft bucket in black leather, and I've been using this bag not just as a casual carry-all but also as a work tote. So it's been carrying around a laptop for me, and I've been commuting on the subway and into the office with it. So my review is going to cover just the basics about the bag, features at a glance. But then I'll also share my experience after putting this bag to the test in the real world and how well it performs there. So stick around for some pros and cons that I'll share. And if you like what you see, there's a link to this product in the description below, and it would really help me out if you made your purchase using that link, but no worries either way. So let's get into it. So if you guys haven't heard about Maison de Sabré, it's an Australian company. And I didn't really know much about their bags before, but I did know a whole lot about their fruit emoji charms. You've probably seen these guys everywhere. They're so cute. They come in different fruit designs, and they're most commonly used to hold air tags. But I actually like to put guitar picks in mine, and then I put them on the outside of my guitar gig bags, and they're just so cute. I have this one and then a Hello Kitty one, and I'm obsessed. So that's actually how I got introduced to the brand. And then I started looking into their bags recently, and this is the soft bucket tote. I was really excited to try this one because I've tried a few different bucket totes, and they're actually kind of hard to shop for. Their proportions are tricky because you can have ones that are too tall, or you can have ones that are too wide or not wide enough, and you can have ones that are I don't know, there's just so many factors in a seemingly simple silhouette. And believe it or not, it's actually really hard to get right. And so for me, this was the one that met all of my criteria, which I'll share more about when I talk about the pros and cons. But just to look at the bag really quickly from the outside, when you look at this, you see a pretty clean, simple silhouette, which is great. But beneath that, there's actually a lot of really intelligent design built into it. So the material, first off, is really high quality European full grain leather. It's got some texture and bumpiness to it, not a ton. I wouldn't call it a super pebble texture. It's still very flat-ish, but it's got that texture. And the material is a soft leather, but not the buttery kind. It's slightly stiff, even though it's soft. It's slightly stiff. It has a slight papery feel to it. And the base of it is more structured than the rest of the bag. The weight of the bag is almost nothing. The soft bucket is one of the lightest bags I have. And I remember when I got the box, when it was shipped to me, and it was wait, is it empty? Because I couldn't believe how light it was, right? So I opened it and I pulled it out. I was oh my God, this is maybe a pound. So I was immediately off to a good start, because when I start putting a ton of stuff in there, the last thing you want is a bag with its own super heavy base weight. But anyways, so the bag doesn't have any exterior organization, but it does have this little key ring on the side, and it comes with a luggage tag. I also put my fruit charm there. You can put other things if you want, of course. And the handle drop is not adjustable. However, I find it to be good enough for me. So this is how far it drops from my shoulder. And at this height, for me, I'm able to go inside and reach into the bag and get what I need without having to take it off my shoulder. So I'm fine with this handle height, even though it's fixed. The interior, you've got one button, snap magnetic button closure. And for the black version of this bag, the interior is red. I think all of the bags have an interior that's a different color to contrast. And aside from it being super cute, do you see how you can look in and already see all the way into the bottom? That is intelligent design right there. When you have a contrast interior, it allows you to look inside and find what you need very quickly. If this bag was lined in black and it was black on black, this becomes a super dark black hole, and you'll never be able to look inside and actually find what you need. So when it's red like this and I'm wearing it on my shoulder, I can glance down, see straight to the bottom of the bag because of the red, and pull out what I need without having to dig around and search, which drives me crazy, especially when you have a bucket style bag and you're gonna throw a lot of things into it. So that's the color. And then you have a few different pockets. The first is gonna be like the size of this like stitching. You can see it's a pretty big pocket, which is great. Like I have other bags where they have pockets on the side, and it's like, okay, great, I can fit like a credit card. But no, this is like a really useful, like good size pocket. You've also got like a zipper here. The zipper is very good quality. It's very smooth. It is a one-handed zipper, which means I don't have to hold one side of the bag in order to zip or unzip it. I can just like do it. And that is like a big pet peeve of mine, is being able to use the zipper one-handedly. And then you have two more pockets. Let me see if I can do it this way. You have two more pockets that are on the front, and they're gonna be open like this, and they're next to each other. Those I use less often. I think what I would probably point out about the pockets is that the edges of the pockets are glazed as well, so that they don't feel rough. So sometimes when you have like this type of like thinner leather, the unfinished edges can be a little abrasive, but all of the pockets, the edges are glazed as well, so they're really comfy for you to just like reach your hand in without getting all scratched up. So that was something that I had happened to me with another bag, and so I was like looking out for it this time. And then lastly, you have a key leash here, and that's pretty much it. So we'll go into next what I can fit inside, what I've been carrying around, and then I can share some of like the observations I've had after using this bag and like putting it to the test in like the corporate world and as I commute in like crowded subway cars and whatnot. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so I brought out an array of things that I would usually want to bring with me to work. And I also brought a few things that I usually don't bring, but I wanted to give you an idea of what the capacity of this was really like and how much you could push it. When it comes to work bags, my standards and criteria are a little bit higher than usual because the functionality of it becomes even more important. I don't baby my bags, I really do put them to work, and so it's important for me to like really be thorough with how I review them for those of you who are going to be spending, you know, hard-earned money on something that it needs to like look professional but also serve its purpose. So we'll start with the most important thing, which I think is the laptop. This bag can fit up to a 14-inch laptop. I have my 13-inch MacBook, but I've also got like an IBM laptop for work, and this one is like slightly longer, and so given that this is a bucket style bag, I brought my longer laptop to show you. So I'm gonna put the laptop in first, and then I also just wanted to bring like this iPad mini. I'll put in the biggest water bottle I have, which is like 32 ounces, because I can. Sunglasses, laptop charger, my mouse, and a couple of cosmetic cases. They'll usually carry just like little knickknacks. Hand sanitizer, my badge, a MagSafe battery pack, a foldable hairbrush, my AirPods, and this guy I usually will put in the side pocket so that I can access it quickly, and my lipstick. So that is like a crazy amount of stuff to put in, and you can see that there's not like too much struggle happening here. It doesn't look like the bag is like bursting on the sides. It doesn't look like anything is like screaming to get out. The laptop does like stick out on top a little bit, but with the handle drop, this is not an issue. So if you have a 13 or 14-inch laptop, it's nowhere near touching your like armpit or anywhere that's going to irritate your body. So you can see that even though it's a bucket style bag and the laptop sticks out, it is not a problem. And I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside with all those things filled in, because there is still room. So you can see that towards the top of the bag, there's still room to put things on top. I try not to like do that though, because with a bucket style bag, often what happens is you start like piling things on top of each other, and then that becomes like difficult for you to like get what you need. And so oftentimes if you have something like a lunchbox, which is something that people always ask me about, especially for work bags. I would put the lunch box like on the bottom and then stack your smaller things on top of it so that you can get to it quickly, because the things on the bottom are always just inherently going to be harder to reach. So, and again, this is like assuming that you're filling it with all of like the things you need for work. If you were using this casually and maybe you don't have your like laptop and laptop charger or your mouse, right? And you had just like everything else, then it becomes much easier. Then you're able to like navigate the interior of the bag and see everything and just pull out what you need much more quickly because of the extra space you have. So the capacity of the bag has been perfect for me. It's been comfortable to wear with the laptop inside. So when I'm walking around with the bag at its max capacity, and like assuming I had everything I just showed you, again, water bottle and everything, it's comfortable. It is not too heavy. Again, the laptop doesn't bother my arm. The handle drop is perfect. It doesn't stay behind my arm, which is like maybe one of like the cons that I'll talk about a little bit later, but it's still nicely like flat against the side of my body, and it allows me to set my arm down here along the sides. And the strap does not slide off my shoulder. So it's a little bit thinner, which people look at and they'll say like, oh my God, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but it's actually not that bad. If it was thinner than this, then yes, it would dig in, it would be very uncomfortable. But this to me is like the sweet spot where it's wide enough to distribute the weight somewhat, but also just slim enough that it doesn't wanna slide off your shoulder, because when it's too wide, that's what happens. So I do love the strap. I've worn this bag with like a really thick snow parka as well, like a super puffy one, and it was perfect because the distance here was great, and also like the softness of it just like wasn't fighting me as hard when I had like my thick sleeves and I was trying to like reach inside, and so that was awesome. And when I'm on a crowded subway, I don't feel like there's a pickpocket like chance where they can like reach in behind me to like grab something, because the opening is not wide enough where there's like extra room for them to like reach in. So when I'm on a crowded subway, I feel pretty secure. Like there's not much that they can do here. So that's pretty good as well. The sides of the bag are not too stiff where it's uncomfortable, and so I never feel like it's like hitting against the side of my body when you're holding your laptop, because there's like this long hard like surface. It will hit against your hips a little bit, and what I found that helps, especially because you're storing your laptop like a long ways, what I find to help is like if I hold and hook my thumb here and I just like keep it still against my body and it's not going like this, that helps with it somewhat. So for a work bag, I'm pretty happy with it. I find it to have served its purpose well in both like casual outfit settings, but also like deep winter, full-on parka. This bag has been really awesome for that. So I just wanted to step back and show you like proportionally what it looks like on me. I'm 5'5". My natural waist, I tried to like tuck in my shirt so you can see, is like right here. And my armpit is up here. So I think you've seen a lot of like the handle drop already, but like relative to like the rest of my body, it's a really good moderate size. I've seen bucket bags that are way too tall and long, where it looks like completely unproportional to the person who's wearing it. But I really think that this like soft bucket by Maison de Sabré is really, really nice. It's not too square, it's not too rectangular. The edges of it are nice and soft, where it does look a little bit less rigid and severe for a bucket. So it feels really like nice and organic and natural for a bag that is meant to be like pretty much a square. So I think the size of this is like really great for someone who's a little bit more petite as well. If you've been looking for this style, but you feel like you would get overwhelmed by this silhouette, the soft bucket does a really nice job of finding that middle ground in terms of like proportions and dimensions. The observations I've made after carrying all those things I showed you and really like putting this to the test during work commutes and whatnot, I'll start with the good. The number one thing for me is the weight. The fact that this is almost nothing. That is such a like huge component when it comes to work totes for me, because you've seen like how much we carry and like throw in a lunchbox and like whatever else you need to have. It just really adds up, and so that base weight is critical. The second thing is the handle and the handle drop. This is the perfect handle drop on my frame and for my preference. It is like just long enough that I can reach in and grab what I need, but it is not too long where it feels like it's sitting low on my body and makes me look even shorter. So the handle drop and the fact that it stays is really nice. Next is the fact that they use contrast color interior. I love it every time I look inside, because like it's like a little boost of serotonin to see the red, but also because I can find what I need so quickly. The contrast is like a usable thing where I can look to the bottom and see it straight away. Even as I hold it up into the camera, you can see it to the bottom straight away. So that feature is something that I continue to like notice and appreciate over and over. Next is the fact that it can stand up on its own. It is a soft bucket style, but it still has some structural integrity where it maintains the shape as it's designed, so it can stay standing up, and also the sides will stay up so that when you like have it on your table next to you, you can reach inside and you can actually use it without having to prop the sides up with your arm to access your things. And then finally, the proportions. It is so difficult to find a bucket style silhouette with proportions that work for me. Those of you who feel like other bags out there are too overwhelming because they're like way too long, way too tall, this soft bucket by Maison de Sabré does a really good job of meeting that middle ground. And so I was really happy to find one where I was happy with like the shape, the size, the weight, and also how it looks and sits on me as an individual. And so I'm sure there are some people out there who might have the same experience. It served me well as a work tote. It's been comfortable to wear, and it doesn't slide off the shoulder too much. I find it to be comfortable because this strap is like, while it's thin, it's not too skinny like a spaghetti strap where like A, it would dig in and be uncomfortable, and B, I don't trust it to hold the weight of everything I've got in here. But this strap feels sturdy. It's like not going anywhere, and so every time I wear it, it is like gonna sit where I want it to sit. It doesn't slide off too much, especially if you put like more things in there. When you've got like a good amount of weight to keep it in place, that really helps. Usually if I don't have too much in here and it's a little bit lighter, then I get more of like the sliding, but it's nowhere near as some of the other bags I have, and especially the ones that have like a wider strap. Those guys will just like slide straight off all day. So this one has been good, and it has been good in my really thick parkas as well. And then final thing for like a pro that I noticed is I thought I would have a really hard time with the fact that it doesn't have a zipper, because this single magnetic closure, I thought like, you know, sometimes those can be so annoying because I'm not gonna like use this bag and then look down and have to use both hands to line it up and close it every single time. So I was like originally thinking that this would be super annoying for me. After using it for a while, I've realized that I don't even really need to, because even if I don't close the button, if I just lie my arm down, right? Who can pickpocket me like this? Who, like, there's no room for them to come in anyways. And so even if I don't close that one snap button, it's still secure enough where it's not gonna be a problem, especially if I'm holding it like this. So even if it stays open and the button isn't closed, it's still secure because of like the way that it's designed and like the shape of the bag and the opening. It's not a problem. And then some of the things I think they could do a little bit better. And again, I'm just being super nitpicky, and some of this is like not the bag's fault. The first is that I can't hold it behind my arm. And again, that's not the bag's fault, right? It's just like the shape of the bag and the way it's designed. It doesn't have that like extra material outside of the strap for me to actually rest behind my arm so that I can keep it behind my body. You can sort of do it, but you would have to rest your arm along the base here like this to be able to hold it against your body, and it's not like the most secure. So holding it behind the body, if that's really important to you, like this probably won't be the best shape for that. Second thing that I noticed that I wish they, you know, it's like a tiny thing, but it definitely like is something that I'm like, is like the width of the bag here. when you have things that are not fully using the entire like width of the bag, it's like not so much of a problem. But when you have things that are like really rigid, so for example, my laptop, and if I added like a wide lunchbox, and then in which case like this part is like fully utilized, it can be pretty like uncomfortable and it hits into your like hip a little bit. So the width of it is something that you can't really like get around too much, because what ends up happening is like this part stays rigid. You can't hold it behind your body all that much. And so you just end up having like more width to you. So like my body plus this bag, and then imagine yourself like on like a crowded subway or something. So typically what I'll end up having to do is like pull it to my front and like hold it here so that I take up less space side to side. Because usually I would have just like put it behind my body or something, right? If I'm walking through like a tight space, but I can't really do that here. And so, and like this is already so much. And so I end up having to do this. So I do have to pull this bag to the front of my body just to keep it from taking up too much like room. And like, again, that's just me picking out like really tiny details. If that doesn't bother you, then great. And then third and final thing is, I don't even know if it's third, I'm on something, but the last point I'll make about things that could be like just a little bit better is I would like a little bit more reinforcement in the corners. And so if they ever come out with another iteration of this bag, what I'd really like to see is this amount of structure that they have for the base. I'd like to see that same type of like integrity built into the corners here as well, so that you don't have this dipping in that happens on the front and on the back. So over time, like this has developed because I've been wearing it, but it would be nice to have at least in the front. At the minimum, it should have that in the front so that this can stay nice and formed, especially because if you want it to be worn like this, you don't want the creasing to happen on the outside, if you see what I mean. I'm fine with it on the inside because who cares, it's against my body, but I want the outside of it to look like this, nice and puffed and straight. That's what gives it that clean look. When it's creased in and dented like that, it doesn't look as good. So I hope that they like try to like reinforce the corners of this a little bit, maybe on like the inside, I don't know, but just something to help it keep its shape a little bit better. And at least for me, that would be worth like the extra like ounce or two of weight that it would add just to be able to keep that looking a little bit more smooth and polished. So there you have it for the Maison de Sabré soft bucket tote. I hope that this review is helpful for you. My goal is always to share things that I've observed and noticed after using bags for a while that people might not see or come to realize when they first unbox something. So for people who are spending their hard-earned money, I want you to be able to make as informed of a decision as possible. And so I hope that you have a little bit more information about this particular style as you do your shopping. Again, if you'd like to make a purchase using my link in the description below for this bag, I would so appreciate it, but absolutely no worries either way. You can find some other good discount codes there as well, which you're welcome to use, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.